Hi everybody, it's Crystal. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this golfer style hat, I guess. This usually isn't the style that I make. I generally stick with like newsboy beanies, regular beanies, sun hats, berets once in a while. But it's very basic. So if you're a beginner and you know how to single crochet and double crochet, you'll be able to do this. This hood is great for a man or a woman, and it will fit head sizes in between 19 to probably 23.5 inch head. My mannequin there has a 22.5 inch head, fits her fine, room for more. I have a 19.5 inch head, fits me fine, room for less. All right, that's the way yarn's pretty, it has a lot of give. So, like I said, it's very easy to do. That's what it looks like. And before you say anything, I do realize that it would look better if it was a model. If I was in the picture wearing the hat versus my mannequin, or my husband was in the picture wearing the hat versus my mannequin. Well, unfortunately, neither one of us want to have our faces on YouTube. So I had mentioned that. So that's just the way it is. This is Amber. She is my new model. And there's the back. I think it turned out pretty good. So you guys want to get started? It's easy. You got this. And it's super fast too. Let's do it. Alright, so for this particular hat, I used Premier Basic, which is just a medium weight number 4 100% acrylic yarn. Probably about 200 yards maybe, something like that, maybe 220 at the most. You don't have to use this brand, but any 4-weight yarn will work. Red Heart Super Saver, Joann's, Walmart brand, just any 4-weight yarn will be just fine, in any color that you want, in any fiber that you want. It don't have to be acrylic. As long as it's a 4-weight, you're good. And for the hook size, we're going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5mm crochet hook. Let's do it. All right, first we are going to start with a slip knot on a hook. Okay. Now we're going to work a chain of 5. Now we're going to be slip stitching to form a ring. So if you want to use the magic circle here, that would be fine too. Otherwise, chain, oh my gosh, 5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring. And now we have a ring that we can work into. I'm trying to hide that tail as I go. So we're going to chain 1, and that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It just is nothing. This helps me get a little higher so I can work my double. So we're going to be working 12 double crochets through the center of the ring. So we're going to yarn over, take our hook and go through the ring, grab our working yarn that's up here, pull it back through the ring like that. And then we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet like normal. Yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through the next 2. So now we have 1 double crochet through the center of the ring, and we need a total of 12. So again, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook through the ring, grab my working yarn up here, pull it back through the ring, and do my double crochet as normal. And there's 2. And I'm going to continue around until I get a total of 12. And I'll meet back up with you at the end of round 1. Alright, so I have 12 double crochets now. So I'm going to go ahead and end round 1 by slip stitching into my first one. Remember, we don't go into the chain 1. We go into our first double crochet and slip stitch, and that ends round 1. And you can usually pull your tail, close up that center circle a little bit more. Alright, there's round 1. Round 2, we're going to start by chaining 1, which again does not count as a stitch. And we're going to go back into that same stitch there, right there, that little hole that we just slip stitched into, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into that first stitch. So there's 1 and 2. Now we're going to work our way around. We're going to put 2 doubles into every stitch from the previous row. So I put 2 doubles into that stitch, and I'm going to move to the next one, and I'm going to put 2 doubles into this stitch here, and 2 doubles into the next, and I will continue around 2, putting 2 doubles into every single stitch until I make it back around to my starting point. Alright, I've come to the end of round 2, and you should have a total of 24 stitches. Now we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet, and we will start round 3 with a chain 1 that does not count as a stitch, and we're going to work right back into that very first stitch there, and we're just going to work 1 double crochet into it. So there's 1 double, and then the next stitch we will work 2 doubles into that one. There's 1, and there's 2. So that will be the repeat for round 3. It'll be 1 double into the next stitch, and then the next stitch will get 2 doubles into the same stitch. So there's 1, and there's 2. 1 double into the next, and the next stitch will get 2 doubles into the same stitch. So I'm going to repeat this pattern: 1 double, 2 doubles, 1 double, 2 doubles for round 3, all the way around until I make it back here to my starting point. Alright, so I've made it to the end of round 3, and you should have a total of 36 stitches now. Your last stitch should have been 2 doubles into the same stitch, and we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. And we will begin round 4 with the chain 1 that does not count as a stitch. We'll go right back into that very first stitch, and we're going to put 1 double crochet into it. And then the next stitch we will put 1 double crochet into that one. So we have done 2 double crochets in a row. Now the next stitch is going to get 2 doubles into the same stitch. There's 1, and there's 2, and that will be the repeat for round 4. 1 double crochet in each of the next 2. So there's 1, jump to the next one, put another one, so that makes 2 doubles by themselves, 1, 1, and the next one's going to get 2 doubles into the same stitch, 1 and 2. We are going to repeat that: 1 double crochet in each of the next 2, so 1, 1. So here's 1, go to the next one, 1, and then the next stitch is going to get 2 doubles into the same stitch. So we're going to go ahead and repeat this pattern for round 4. It's 1 double, 1 double, 2 doubles, 1 double, 1 double, 2 doubles, all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you when we make it to the end of row 4. Alright, I've made it to the end of round 4. Your last stitch should have had 2 double crochets in it, and I have a total of 48 stitches. If your hat does not look like a hat, don't worry about it. Probably ain't gonna look like a hat till we finish the last row. Alright, so we're gonna end round 4 by slip stitching into our first double crochet. And we're going to start round 5 with the chain 1. Does not count as a stitch. Now we are going to do a double crochet in 3 stitches, and then 2 double crochets into the next. That will be the repeat for round 5. So we're going to go ahead and start off by putting a double crochet right back into that very first stitch that we just slip stitched into. So there's 1 double. We're going to put a double into the next stitch, so that makes 2 doubles in a row, and then the next stitch we'll make 3 doubles in a row, 1, 2, 3, and the next stitch we will put 2 double crochets into the same stitch, 1, and there's 2. And that's the repeat for round 5. So again, 1 double crochet into the next 3. There's 1. Go to the next one and double crochet. That makes 2. And the next one and put 1 double crochet. That's 3 double crochets in a row. And then the next one will get 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So we're going to go ahead and repeat this pattern for round 5. 1 double, 1 double, 1 double, 2 doubles. 1 double, 1 double, 1 double, 2 doubles, all the way around, and I'll see you at the end of round 5. Alright, so I've made it to the end of round 5. You should have 60 stitches now, and you should have ended with 2 double crochets in your last stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch into my first double crochet to end that round, and we will begin round 6 with the chain 1. That does not count as a stitch. So for round 6 we are going to do 4 double crochets in a row, and then it would be 2 double crochets into the next. So we'll start off by going into the very first stitch here that we slip stitched into, and we're going to do 1 double, and then we're going to jump to the next stitch and do 1 double, and the next stitch 1 double, and then the next one 1 double. So that's 4 doubles that we have done in a row, and the next stitch we're going to put 2 double crochets into that same stitch. So there's 1 and there's 2, and that's going to be the repeat for round 6. Let's do it again. So 1 double in each of the next 4. So there's 1, go to the next one, 1, and the next one, put 1 in it, and the next one, put 1 in it. So I have done 4 double crochets in a row, 1, 2, 3, 4. The next stitch is going to get 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and I'm going to continue repeating this pattern of 1 double crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then 2 doubles into the next, and then again 1 double into each of the next 4, and 2 doubles into the next, and we're going to repeat that all the way around until we make it back here to our starting point. Alright, so I've made it to the end of round 6. You should have a total of 72 stitches now, and your last stitch should have 2 stitches in it. We're going to go ahead and end round 6 by slip stitching into our first double crochet. Now go ahead and pull your yarn up, but don't tie it off. Now this will be the crown. We want to do just a quick measure, somewhere around 7 inches, give or take. It does not have to be exact, is what we're shooting for. So I got 7.5 going on. I'm gonna roll with that. That works for me. Like I said, somewhere in between 6.5 and 8. You're good. You're good. How about that? All right. You know, doesn't matter. We're gonna decrease it down to a certain size after we make it larger. So what you want to do now is grab a couple stitch markers, because it's just easier to keep track with some stitch markers. Two stitch markers. All right, so we're going to count. Pull your yarn up again. All right, the first one, and we're going to count over 24 stitches, starting with this very first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Put a marker in that 24th stitch. All right, the 24th one. Alright, now we're going to come to the other side. Okay, here's where we started, right here. And we just counted 24. Don't count that first one. Count the next one as number 1 and do 24 again. Marker in the 24th, and now count the stitches between your marker, between the markers. Should have 24. Don't count the stitch that the marker's in, but in between them. Not counting the marked stitches. All right, so we're going to be working only in these stitches back here between the markers. We're going to be increasing that back side and then later decreasing it. But we're going to be increasing this back side. We're not going to do anything with these stitches that the markers are in, or anything with these 48. There should be 48 stitches here, including the marked stitches. Anything with those, okay? Not at the moment anyways. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a double crochet, chain 1, round 7 now. We're going to chain 1, and let's go ahead and put a double crochet into every stitch, and including the one that we put the first marker in. All right, so it should be 24, but go ahead and put one double crochet, just one, in each stitch until we get to our first marker. Just like that. So I'm going to continue until I get to my first marker, and I apologize if I did not mention at the end of round 6 you should have 72 stitches. I'm sorry if I forgot to say that, but yes, that's what you should have. Now we're on round 7, and we're putting one double crochet in every stitch, and including the one that into the one that we just marked, and then that's where I'm going to meet back up with you. Alright, so I went ahead and double crocheted into the stitch that has the marker. Now if you want to take that marker out and move it up, you can. That way we always know that we do not work. That we work. That's the stitch. That's the stitch that marks 24. All right. So there we go. You don't have to do that if you can keep track. I actually hate stitch markers. I don't use them on YouTube tutorials. All right. Now what we're going to do is some increasing, but we're going to be doing it between the markers. All right. So this was one that had the marker in it, and we just put the marker back in it. So we got 24 stitches there. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do one double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So there's 1, and there's 2, and then we're going to put 2 double crochets into the next stitch. There's 1, and then another one into the same stitch, makes 2. And again, we're going to do 1 double crochet in each of the next 2. So there's 1 in that one. There's 1 in the next one. And then the next one gets 2 doubles into the same stitch. And this is what we're going to repeat until we get to the marker. And now if my math is correct, don't count on this, probably not. You should have your last increase should be, or 2 double crochets should be here, and you'll probably have 2 stitches left before the marker that you can't do any more increases in. Like I said, don't count on my math being correct, but we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 2, and then 2 doubles into the next. So let's go ahead and repeat this until you get near the marker, and you can't repeat it anymore, otherwise you'll pass. You'll go into the marker. We don't want to go into the marker, okay? So 1 double here. It's going to be, we just worked 2 doubles here. It's going to be 1 double, 1 double, 2 double. 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 My math was not correct. All right, we're going to end right here with 2 double crochets there in that last stitch before the marker. All right, I'll see you there in a second. All right, so I've made it to my marker, and I did have 2 double crochets right before that. Remember, we don't do any increasing in the stitches that are marked or any of the ones before it. So if you count your increased stitches where we put 2 doubles into the same stitch around here between the markers, you should have a total of 8. All right, so now what we're going to do is just put 1 double crochet in every stitch back to our starting point. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, with a marker and just put 1 double crochet in it, but I'm going to put my marker back in its place. So it goes right back here in the stitch I just made. That way we always keep our spots here. Just remember, we don't ever want to work in those 48 well, not here, not right now, not here, not now. All right. Okay, my marker's back in there. I'm going to continue putting 1 double crochet in the remaining stitches, and you should have 24 probably that remain. All right, so I'll see you at the end of round 7. Remember, no increasing here. We only increase between the markers. All right, see you in a second. All right, so I've made it to the end of round 7, and you should have a total of 80 stitches now at the end of round 7, because we had 72 at the end of round 6, and in between the markers we did add 8 more stitches, so we'll have a total of 80 stitches here at the end of round 7. So we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. And now for round 8, we are going to start it out with a chain 1. Round 8, we're just going to do 1 double crochet all the way around into every single stitch. We will not increase on this round. So 1 double crochet in every stitch, but you want to make sure when you get to the stitch that's marked that you take it out and put it back in the correct stitch, because we don't want to lose track. We always have to make sure that the stitches are marked where there's 24 counting the marked stitch, where there's 24 here to our starting point, and counting this marked stitch 24 here to our starting point, because the back here is going to continue to increase eventually, but we don't want this part to increase, so we have to make sure that we keep that 24 count on each side. So go ahead and move your marker up, but I will continue. I'm going to put 1 double crochet, this is round 8, in every stitch all the way around, making sure and moving my markers up and putting it on the 24th stitch from the starting point over, and the 24th stitch from the one after over. All right, and these all just get 1 double as well. All right, I'll see you in a second. All right, so I've made it to the end of round 8, and you still should have 80 stitches because we did no increasing that time. So you have to remember that the hat's going to look really funny probably until we finish. I guess you just have to trust me, but I don't know. On that simple math mistake a while ago, I don't know if you really want to trust me. No, I'm just kidding. So the back is in between these markers. It's going to get bigger. It's going to look funny, but that's okay. We'll fix it. We'll fix it, all right? We're going to go ahead and end round 8 with a slip stitch into our first double crochet, and we begin round 9 with a chain 1. So again, we're going to start off by putting 1 double crochet in every stitch up to and including our stitch marker. All right, so it should be 24 into that stitch marker if you want to move, and then move your stitch marker up, but we're not doing any increasing here. So 1 double in every stitch to the stitch marker and into the stitch marker. Move your marker up, and I'll meet back up with you, and we'll have to do some more increasing on that back side. I'll see you right here in just a second at our first marker. All right, so I'm coming up to my first marker, and I want to make sure I go into it. And it's always good to count if you can keep count. And when you go into that first marker here, you should have 24 stitches that you've made. I'm going to move my marker up here on this stitch that I just put in where the marker is, so I know that that is my 24th stitch. That way. There. All right. Now we're going to work across the back here until we get to the other marker. All right, so this one's marked. All right, it doesn't count. So we are going to we're going to increase this back part on round 9 here. We're going to put let's do a double crochet into the next 3. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to put 2 doubles into the next stitch. 1 and 2. And that's what we're going to repeat all across this back side until we get to our next marker. 1 double crochet into the next 3. There's 1, 2, 3, and then 2 doubles into the next. Again, 1 double into the next 3. There's 1, 2, and 3, and then 2 doubles into the next. Now we're going to keep repeating this pattern. 1 double into the next 3, and then 2 doubles into the next. And this time I'm certain your last stitch before the marker will have 2 double crochets in it. And that's where I'll meet back up with you. Now if it doesn't, maybe you don't want to trust me anymore. I'll see you in a second. Alright, so I've made it to my next stitch marker, and I did end into a double crochets there into that last stitch before the marker. So if you count your increases where we put 2 double crochets in each stitch, we should have put 8 there across again. And now we're just going to continue working our 24 remaining stitches, just putting 1 double crochet in each of them. So you want to go ahead and go into this one that has the marker, and you want to move your marker up. So there's that one, and go ahead and take your marker and put it back in there. We don't want to lose track of that spot. Gosh dang. You guys probably think, why in the world is she using a piece of yarn? That's all I got. I'm just kidding. Okay, 24 is what you'll have left. That one would be counting as number 1. And then you just go across until you get back to your starting point, which will be the end of row 9. So remember, we're not increasing at this point. We only increase in the back. All right, I'll see you in a second. All right, so I've come to the end of round 9, and I'm going to go ahead and end it by slip stitching into my first double crochet. And now you will have 88 stitches all the way around, because we did do an 8 increase in the back here. All right, now we're going to do round 10, and round 10 is just 1 double crochet in every stitch around. So we're just going to chain 1 to start row 10, and we're going to work 1 double in every stitch all the way around. Make sure when you get to the markers and you go into the stitch that has the marker that you stop and move the marker up to the exact same stitch that you just worked into. That way we always keep track of where we're at. All right, but there is no increasing this round on round 10. So I'm going to continue around putting 1 double in every stitch, moving both my markers up when I get to them. And I'll see you right back here at our starting point. Alright, so I've come to the end of round 10, and I still have 88 stitches. I'm going to go in and end by slip stitching into my first double, and we'll go ahead and start round 11 with the chain 1. And we're going to work 1 double crochet back into that first stitch, and 1 double crochet into every stitch to our stitch marker and into our stitch marker. So we'll have 24 stitches here in a row. Make sure you move your marker up. And I will see you right here after we have made 24 stitches. Move our marker up, and then we're going to do some increases, or I'm sorry, increases back here again for round 11. All right, I'll see you here at our first marker. All right, so I've made it to my marker, and I went into the marker and I moved my marker up. So counting the stitch that your marker is in, you should have 24. All right, now we're going to start back here and work until we get to the next marker. We are going to put around 11 here, we're going to put a double crochet into the first 4 stitches. All right, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next stitch is going to get 2 doubles into the same stitch. So that's our increase stitch. Just 1 and 2, and that's what we're going to repeat all along the back here. 1 double crochet into the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 doubles into the next. And we're going to repeat this pattern of 1 double into the next 4, 2 doubles into the next, all the way over here until we get to our next marker, and you should end in 2 double crochets into the stitch before your marker. All right, I'll see you there. Remember, 1 double crochet in 4, and then 2 into the next. 1 and 4, and then 2 into the next. I'll see you in a second. All right, so I made it to my next stitch marker here, and I did land with 2 double crochets into the stitch before the marker. So we should have 24 that remain. We're going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet in the remaining 24. So I'm going to go into this stitch marker here and do 1 double crochet. Make sure you move your marker up, 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 up. Okay. And I'm going to finish this out by putting 1 double crochet in every stitch back to our starting point. Alright, so I've made it to the end around 11, and you should have a 96 stitches now because we did increase 8 more stitches back up there. So in round 11 by slip stitching into your first double crochet, and we're going to go ahead and start round 12, chain 1, and we're going to put a double crochet into every stitch up to our stitch marker, including the one with the stitch marker. Move our marker up, and that's where I'll meet back up with you. Remember, you should have 24. All right, it's just 1 double in every stitch to the marker, and including the one that the marker's in. All right, I'll see you in a second. All right, so I've made it to my first marker, and I went ahead and moved my marker up, and now we're going to be working in these stitches back here until we get to the other marker, and we're going to be doing a double crochet decreases. Now, a double crochet decrease is worked. It takes 2 stitches to make 1 decrease, and we're going to be decreasing over every 2 stitches. So it's going to be double crochet decreases all the way across. So we are going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, and we're going to draw up a loop, and we're going to yarn over and go through those first 2 loops on our hook, and then we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 stitches on our hook, and that leaves us 3 stitches, or three loops. I'm sorry. We're going to yarn over and go through all 3 loops on our hook. So what that did is it took those first 2 stitches and turned it into 1. So it takes 2 stitches and turns them into 1. And we're going to do this all the way across every 2 stitches. Now you want to try to keep them as tight as you can. Alright, so we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch that's not worked. Don't go into the one that we already worked in. Sometimes when they get tight, it's hard to tell. So make sure you're careful. And you go into the next stitch that's not worked, yarn over and draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, 3 loops remain, yarn over and go through all 3 loops like that. Again, we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch here that's not worked, draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, 3 loops remain, yarn over and go through the remaining 3. Just like that. So we have now took 6 stitches, and we turned them into 3. And we're going to continue doing this until we get to our marker. Yarn over, go into the next stitch that's not worked, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. Then we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch here that's not worked, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. 3 loops will remain, yarn over and go through all 3 loops like that. All right, so I'm going to do these double crochet decreases all the way over until I get to my stitch marker. All right, I should end with a decrease at my stitch marker. So it's just nothing more than double crochet decreases all the way across. And like I said, you want to try to keep them as tight as you can. And remember not to go into the same one twice. It's very easy to do that. But just like that. And the back, this part's going to kind of shrink in a bit. That's okay. We're going to continue that until we get to our next marker. Alright, so I've decreased over every stitch there in the back. And if you count, you'll have 24 decreases there. And now we are just going, I'm at my stitch marker. Now we're just going to go into the stitch marker and put a double crochet like we always do. Just one. Move our marker up. And continue putting 1 double crochet in every stitch till we get back to our starting point. All right, and counting this one, you still should have 24 there on this side. All right, I'll see you in a second at the end of round 12. All right, coming in the end of round 12, we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. Now we are back and we have a total of 72 stitches. That's what we had when we measured our crown. All right, let's start round 13. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to double crochet back into that first stitch, and we're going to double crochet into every single stitch up to our stitch marker again. So 24 double crochets, including the stitch with the stitch marker. All right, like we've been doing all the way up here. When you double crochet into that, move it up, move your marker up, and that's where I'll meet back up with you, and we got to do decrease again in the back. All right, I'll see you in a second. All right, so I made it to my marker and I went ahead and moved my marker up. Now we're going to be working in between the markers again. And we are going to start by putting 1 double crochet into this next stitch, which you can see these are all going to be decreases that we're working in from the previous row. So 1 double into the next stitch, and then we're going to put a decrease over the next 2 decreases from the previous row. Remember to keep these as tight as possible. So we're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch and draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. Then we're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. 3 loops remain, yarn over and go through the remaining 3. Okay, and then that's what we are going to repeat across. So it's going to be 1 double into the next stitch. Remember to try to keep it tight as possible, and then a double crochet decrease over the next 2. So yarn over and go into the next one and draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, 3 remain, yarn over and go through all 3. You want to repeat that, yarn over and go, or yarn over, yeah, 1 double crochet, just 1 double into the next stitch. Keep it as tight as possible, like that. So 1 double into the next, and then a double crochet decrease over the next 2, because remember it takes 2 to make a decrease. Like that. 1 double into the next, and double crochet decrease over the next 2, that. And we're going to repeat this pattern until we get to our next stitch marker. 1 double, and then double crochet decrease over the next 2. Just like that. Alright, so I will see you at our stitch marker. Alright, so I've made it to my stitch marker. My last stitch was a decrease, so I'm going to go ahead and double crochet in all the remaining stitches until we make it back to our starting point, which you know will be 24. So I'm going to go into the stitch with the stitch marker and double crochet. I'll move my marker up, put it in back in that stitch. Ugh. There we go. All right, I'm going to continue putting 1 double crochet into every stitch until I make it to the end of round 13. Alright, I made it to the end of round 13, and you should have a total of 64 stitches. Go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first double crochet. Round 13, yeah, 64 stitches. Now we're going to start round 14. We're going to chain 1, and we are going to do a row of 1 double crochet into every stitch. So there's 1. We're not going to do any, no increasing, no decreasing. We're just going to work around. This is round 14. Putting 1 double crochet into every single stitch until we make it back to our starting point. Alright. Truthfully, you don't need these markers anymore. Yes, they're gone. So we're just going to work around and put 1 double into every stitch. This is round 14, all the way around. And when you make it back around, you'll still have 64 stitches. All right, so I'll see you at the end of round 14. Alright, so I went ahead and finished out my 14th row. I ended in a slip stitch and I went ahead and tied off. Alright, so now we're going to work on the brim, which goes up here. So back here where we tied off is like the back. Alright, so what we want to do is take it and where we tied off here, and kind of fold it in half like this. Now we're just going to eyeball this because it does not have to be exact. Alright, so what you want to do is look, and we want to have 8 stitches on this side and 8 stitches on this side for a total of 16. So I'm going to start right here, the first single crochet that's closest to the front, and count back 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to start in that 8th one. Okay, but I want to start it in the back side, so I'm going to go ahead and pinch that off, and I'm going to put my hook in from that way. Alright, so here's where we ended. There's the 8th from the center. Now what we're going to do, we're going to have 14 single crochets and 2 slip stitches. So we're going to go ahead and go into this first stitch. The 8th one's from the center. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to chain 1. Now that chain 1 is going to count as a slip stitch. So we're going to jump to the next one and we're going to single crochet. And we want to do 14 single crochets, not counting that slip stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So go ahead and do 14, and I'll meet back up with you after the 14th one. Remember, don't count that slip stitch. Alright, so I've done the slip stitch. I've done 14 single, or the chain 1, which counts as a slip stitch. 14 single crochets, and now I'm going to end with a slip stitch into the last one. So counting those 2 slip stitches and the 14 single crochets, we have 16 stitches. All right, so that ends row 1. Row 2, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now, we are going to skip that slip stitch right there, and we are going to do a single crochet decrease over the next 2. So skip that one and go into the next single crochet and draw up a loop, and then the next single crochet and draw up a loop. 3 loops, yarn over, and go through all 3 like that. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet into each of the next 2. So there's 1, and then you go in the next one and put another, so there's 2 single crochets in a row, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets into the next. 1 and 2. Again, 1 single crochet into the next 2. There's 1 and 2, and 2 single crochets into the next. Now we're going to go ahead and repeat this pattern until we get to our last 3 stitches of row 2 of our brim. All right, I have 3 stitches left, not counting that slip stitch. See that? 1, 2, 3. I just put 2 doubles into that last stitch. So we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next, and then we're going to do a single crochet decrease over the next 2. Like that. And then we are going to do 2 slip stitches. All right, we're going to go into the slip we are going to go into the slip stitch that we slip stitched into before, and then into the next stitch that has not been worked. So that's 2 slip stitches that we did there, and that ends row 2. All right, row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. All right, so we're going to skip the first slip stitch, and then we are going to decrease over the next slip stitch and the next single crochet. So here's the first slip stitch, just skip it. Here's the second slip stitch, go into it and draw up a loop, and then into the next single crochet and draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 like that. Now we're going to do a 1 single crochet in each of the next 3. There's 1, 2, 3, and then 2 single crochets into the next. Again, 1 single crochet into the next 3. There's 1, 2, 3, and 2 single crochets into the next, just like that. And we're going to do this till we make it near the end. 1 single crochet into the next 3, 2, that's 3, and 2 singles into the next. And if you look, you can see that we have 2 stitches left in the slip stitch. So we're going to decrease over these last 2 stitches like that, and then we're going to slip stitch into the last stitch, the same spot as the last slip stitch, like that. And that ends row 3. All right, so now we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and All right, we're going to start by putting a half double crochet into the very first stitch. Half double into the very first stitch. And now we're going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch across until we make it to our last stitch of row 4. Singles all the way across. And then when we make it to the last stitch over here, we are going to put a half double crochet into the last one. Let's look here. All right, we're not going to do anything with this slip stitch down here. We're going to put our, right here, we're going to put our last half double into this stitch right here. Like that. And that's going to end a row 4. Row 5. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Let's see. We're going to put a single crochet into the first 2 stitches. So 1 into the half double and 1 into the next. And then we're going to put 2 singles into the next. And we're going to go ahead and repeat this pattern of 1 single into the next 2, 2 singles into the next, like this, until we get near the end of the row. Alright, so I made it to the end of round 5, and you should have been able to end in a complete repeat. I did 2 singles and I had 2 stitches left to put 1 single in each of them. Let me see how long this is. Okay, I'm gonna tie this off. Okay, tie this off after row 5. Don't worry, we're gonna do another row. But I don't like to, when I do hats with bills, brims, newsboys and such, I don't like to end up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back here and start where we left off. Okay? And we're going to work around and we're going to do single crochets in every stitch. We're going to clean up this edge as neatly as possible. We'll go around the front, single crochet, and we are going to go down this as neatly as possible with single crochet, then back around to our starting point. And I'm going to hide some tails as I go. So you could start in any stitch in the back here. Alright, I'm going to chain 1. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into that same stitch and I'm going to single crochet. And I'm going to single crochet into every stitch until I get up to my brim. Just 1 single in every stitch. This is the final, hopefully the final, I don't know, I'll have to check it out, finishing row. I might have to do it again, I don't know. Depends how funky that brim looks. Alright, single crochet, and I'll meet up with you when we get up here near the brim. Alright, so I've made it to my brim. Now everybody's just going to be a little different because we're just going to be evenly spacing out some single crochets. But I am going to go into this spot right here. You can see that where we worked our first stitch. And I am going to, no, I'm not going in that spot. I'm jumping directly over here to this spot right here. This is the first row of, no it's not, what are we at? This is 1, anyways. Here's our double crochet. I'm not going into that. I'm going to go into the spot next to it. And I'm going to single crochet into it. Like that. And then I'm going to evenly space out. I'm going to put another single crochet up above it. And then right here in this corner spot, I'm going to put 1, and then I'm just going to work around. Let me see how that looks. 1 in the next one. Is that going to fold over? 1 in the next one. Trying to hide that tail as I go. And I think that's going to be okay. So I'm going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch across the brim here, or whatever this is, bill. And so I make it over there to the other side. Okay, I'll see you at the other side. Alright, I'm coming to the other side of the bill, so I'm going to put a single crochet in the last stitch here at the top, and then I'm going to go down the side, just kind of try and evenly make some single crochets down the side, make them look as nice and neat as possible. However many it takes you to make them look nice and neat and straight, well, that's how many it takes. Alright. I'm going to put 1 more in that spot, like that, and then I am, this is a slip stitch. I'm going to go back down into, I'm not going to do anything in that slip stitch. I'm going to go down here to this double crochet and single into it. Let me look at it. I think, I don't know. I don't know. Is it going to be okay? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. It is what it is. I'm better at newsboy brims. These type of brims, they don't really taper off too much at the edges. They're kind of just a straight downfall. Now I'm going to single crochet into every stitch until I make it back around to the starting point, and I'll meet back up with you there, and we'll take a look and see if we need to do anything else. Just in with the slip stitch though, and to your first single crochet back here. Alright, that's going to do it for me. So I slip stitch, I'm just going to tie it off. Now if you want to make any changes, feel free to make any changes that you'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and hide this remaining tail and the tail on the inside, and I'll be done. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright? If you enjoyed. I have hundreds and hundreds, at the making of this video, near 2,000 tutorials. So please check them out. Maybe you'll find something you like and you want to make. I have pretty much everything you could ever want. Pretty much everything. Alright. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next one. Take care. Bye.